Hey now everybody, this is Dr. Island. Welcome to Englit.org. Today we are talking about the English 101 on-campus course. Just a note here, if you are taking this class for the second or third time and you took English 101 prior to fall of 2018 at Citrus College, the course you're going to be taking from here forward is a different class. Prior to fall of 2018, English 101 was a literature-based 3-unit course. It is now a 4-unit course that involves both fiction as well as nonfiction, and while many of the same things that you learned or would have learned in the prior course still apply, there is a bit more to this, being that it's an extra unit or so. Further, if you are signed up for the English 101S, the enhanced version, you need to watch a different video that is also available on my website. This is for the on-campus course, and that course is just simply the 4-unit English 101 course. To that end, like I said, find the lava lamp there, bookmark Englit.org because you're going to be using it, and scroll down past the distance education stuff down to the on-campus freshman composition courses and choose the English 101 standalone. It's not a learning community, just the standalone. And when you find the Lepidoptera, you are in the right place. Your syllabus, which I will hand out to you in class, is also available here online. You have the course description, the grading policy, and the course calendar. And of course, the course calendar directs most of what we do. To that end, when you get onto the course calendar, you will find that there are numerous links for each week, and there's a lot at the very beginning and very little at the very end. And the reason for that, of course, is that you need to read a lot and gather things together in order for you to start producing material from me. Essentially, this is a skills class. You're going to be learning how to write essays at the college level for both English classes and for other courses, such as humanities courses, science courses, and the like. And to that end, the only way that I know that you know what you're doing is for you to produce actual essays for me. At the beginning, of course, you're going to be reading essays, maybe listening to essays, watching some videos that are instructional, but ultimately you're going to turn that around to me as written documents that you will present to me, as well as an in-class presentation, ultimately to demonstrate that you understand how to write at the college level at various levels. To that end, each week begins with material that I need you to read. A lot of it has to do with formatting, things like what a documentary research paper looks like, or what, from a literary perspective, what plot is. And these are all linked to my website, and of course, if you go to my website and wander around, you will find these in various places. There's also a discussion of the actual specific paper I want you to work on, and for example, for the first week, I want you to begin discussing an anecdote, a story in which you will tell me something about yourself, an experience that you had that either made you love or hate reading. To that end, however, the primary text is going to be two different bits here. One of them is Jay Thomas telling a much loved story, for some people anyway, a much loved story to David Letterman. But his storytelling is important because it is a personal experience, it is an anecdote, but with it there are certain things that he does not only to keep the story engaged and to keep it moving along, but to keep the thread of the story all the way through. And the end of the story, what happens at the end of the story, is set up during the whole course of it, and that's an important discussion when you're thinking about writing an anecdote. Likewise, there's a discussion by Mr. Wong on his views on what has happened to people's expectation for hard work. And certainly that is something to understand for this course because English is hard. Writing English at a college level is very hard, and it is a particular skill. It is not something you're born with. And certainly for those of us who are blessed with knowing more than one language, especially if we're not born into speaking English, there are a lot of things to learn and to work on. And even those of us who've been speaking English all of our lives are constantly practicing this, and that is something to consider as you go through the course. As you go along in this, not only will I be explaining when things are due in class, but the calendar itself gives you general ideas. So you begin writing this anecdote here, and then you turn it in here, and then things get a little bit faster. You start writing a criminal research work based on one of these individuals here, and then you present them here as well as in written document. You'll even see an example of a straight-up documentary from Bill Curtis. We have other material that you'll be choosing from for your research paper that includes opportunities to do more research, to examine how a fictional piece is related to nonfiction. And in fact, you'll notice a thread running through this class in the sense that, for the most part, what we're talking about in some ways is crime, and the way that fiction and reality cross over each other to the extent that, for all intents and purposes, we are creating art that reflects who we are, and who we are in some ways influences the art itself. All the way through the semester, you're going to be reading things. You're not going to write on everything, but you are going to have opportunities to write on several of these, not just full-on research papers, but also shorter works called responses. During the course of the semester, you need to finish 5 responses. These are 3-paragraph essays that will essentially be a reflection of your understanding of the material, but also give me an opportunity to give you feedback on how you're doing in the course and how you're doing with the material. And so when you look at the grading policy, you'll notice that the response that I asked you, the anecdote that I told you about, that this is worth this much, and then you're going to do a historical analysis on a particular criminal. You're going to make a presentation. We'll get to a test material later. But also you have your participation responses, and during the course of the semester, you're looking for, if you want an A in participation, you'll do 5 of these in which you're giving me these little samples. Yes, it's part of your participation grade, but more importantly, it gives me an opportunity to give you feedback on your use of grammar, obviously, your organization, your use of quotation, your use of support and analysis, so that way you can fine-tune things before you turn in something that's worth 20% or 25%. As I mentioned before, there's also, as I said before, there is a test. The test will be an in-class essay, a timed essay, in which you will analyze a literary work in 5 paragraphs within the time period of the class. And so you have these long-form works that show, multiple pages, multiple paragraphs showing me your research. You have some of these shorter works showing me samples of your work. You obviously have a research paper. You also have an outline and annotated works cited, which we will get to during the course of class. You even have a presentation, and then you have a test. All of these things, the ability to make a presentation, the ability to write under pressure, the ability to write a research paper, all of these are part of this class and what make this class transferable to Cal State, UC, and private universities. For all intents and purposes, we will discuss everything as we go along in class. You need to be in class and to pay attention and to have read the material so you can follow along. If you do not read the material in advance, we are not going to be reading it in class very much, and moreover, you will not be able to, as we go along, follow the conversation. So, pay attention, ask me questions, and as always, stay in touch.